up, my name's Amanda and welcome to another one of my quilt block tutorials. In today's video I'm going to be showing you how to make the ocean waves block. So I first came across this block in this book called Quilts, 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 and I was simply looking for a block that I could very easily use up all of my small scrap fabrics. And this is my scrappy version of the Ocean Waves block. I absolutely love it because it is so juggle block full of different prints and colours, and it's just so crazy and just beautiful. But as you can see in the pattern here, this block is more traditionally made up with two contrasting fabrics put together, so you're getting that sort of ocean wave type effect to the overall quilt. Hence why I have used two contrasting fabrics in the triangles to show you the traditional pattern that the block should have. Now I was going to use just all solids, but I chose to just mix it up a little bit and add a cheeky little print in the block. In my opinion at the moment, I think this block looks a little bit messy and a little bit out of place, but I think once you make a couple of blocks and then put them all together, you'll then start to get that wave effect with the different contrasting fabrics sitting next to each other. Now, to be completely honest with you, I think this block is more suited to intermediate type quilters. I think that if you're a beginner quilter, you might just struggle a little bit in completing this block just because there's lots of little steps to get through before sort of bringing everything all together to then complete the block. But in saying that, if you are a beginner and want to give it a go, then go for it. You know, you never know, you might do really well. So as always with all of my tutorials, you will find all of the measurement and cutting instructions down in the description box below, as well as a few other informative things that I think you might need to know about this block. And there's also a link to where you can find the book if you would like to get that as well. So in saying that, this is how you make the Ocean Waves block. To make this block, you will need to cut one 6.5 inch square for the center and then 12 3-inch squares from two contrasting fabrics. Start off by separating the squares into two groups so that you have 6 squares of each colour in each one. Place one group to the side and then with the other evenly stack 3 squares up at one time and cut them in half. Do this to all of the squares in this group, resulting in 12 triangles of each colour. Place these triangles to one side and then grab the other group of squares that will be made into half square triangles. To do this, mark a line with a lead pencil along the wrong side of your lightest fabric. Then evenly pair and pin each one with the other 6 squares in this group. Once done, take the squares over to the sewing machine and sew a 1/4 inch seam to the left of the marked line, slowly chain stitching each pair through until you reach the end. Then turn the chain squares around and sew one more seam along the other side of the line. Snip all of the joining threads and then with a ruler and blade cut the squares in half, resulting in 12 half square triangle units. Next, carefully press each unit open with the seam lying towards the darker side of fabric. Then finally trim each one down to a perfect square, measuring 2 5/8 of an inch. Once all of the half square triangle units have been squared up, separate them into two groups of 6. Then pair each of these with a set of the triangles pre-cut at the beginning. Again, set one group of units to the side and begin piecing the other together. To do this, lay out a half square triangle unit and place 2 triangles alongside its opposite fabric, forming a triangle. Moving one triangle to the side, flip the other one over, aligning it to the right top and bottom sides of the half square triangle. Pin it into place and then sew a 1/4 inch seam along this edge. Then after pressing the seam outwards, flip the other triangle over onto the opposite side of the half square triangle unit and pin it into place. Sew a 1/4 inch seam down this side and then press it open in the same way as before. To finish the triangle unit, carefully trim off the little bunny ears along the bottom with a ruler and blade. Then continue on piecing the rest of the units in this group together. Then with the other group of units you placed to the side earlier, pair 2 triangles with a half square triangle unit in the opposite colorway as before. Then follow the same set of steps to piece this group of units together. By the end, you should be left with 2 sets of 6 opposite triangle units. Next, lay out each of the units in this way, starting with the white square and then placing 2 of each of the triangle units opposite each other around the square. Next, place opposite triangle units next to each other in each corner, consequently forming a square block. Throughout this step, make sure to always place a darker triangle unit next to a lighter triangle unit. Next, starting at any corner, flip one triangle unit over onto the other. Nest the center seams together and then pin it and the rest of the edge securely into place. Carefully sew a 1/4 inch seam along the pinned edge and then press the seam open flat so as to reduce any excess bulk in the future seams of the block. Place the triangle back into place and repeat the same set of steps to piece together the 3 other triangle corners. Next, begin piecing the block together, starting with the center square and surrounding triangles. To do this, fold the center square in half and then half again. Flip a triangle over, evenly lining up its top point with a fold line in the square. Pin the triangle into place and then sew a 1/4 inch seam along this edge. Gently press the seam inwards towards the center square, and then piece on the next triangle to the opposite side of the square in the same way as before. Then, as an option, before sewing on the next 2 triangles, carefully trim off the excess fabric from either side to reduce any unnecessary bulk. From here, continue to sew on the other 2 triangles to the center square. Then finally, piece on each of the outside corner triangles. Do this by flipping one over onto the center piece and evenly nesting its center seam with the corner point of the white square. Once happy with the placement, pin it into place and then nest and pin together the other seams along this edge. At the sewing machine, carefully sew a 1/4 inch seam along this edge, ensuring each seam is lying flat before feeding it through. Set the seam and then press the seam outwards towards the corner unit. Once you finish piecing on the last triangle corner, give the finished block a good steamy press and then square the block up to 12.5 inches square. Now, of course, if you're going to give this block a go, please share your pictures with me. I would love to see what you make and also the color selections in your fabrics that you choose. And also, if you decide to make more blocks and then piece them into a quilt, I would absolutely love to see that too and just see the effect that the fabrics that you've chosen make to the quilt. Did that make sense? I don't know. Now, of course, I will continue sharing with you the progress of my Scrappy Ocean Waves quilt. This is a project that I've set myself to make throughout the whole year, just to sort of get rid of a lot of my scrap fabrics and just to always have something to come to when I feel I want to sew and I don't have anything else that I want to do, which is hardly ever, to be honest. But this little quilt is slowly coming together. I've made 4 blocks already, and I really love the scrappy type aesthetic that the fabrics are bringing to the blocks when I place them together. It's all very exciting. So as always, friends, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you another time very, very soon. Bye!